Good evening or good morning whenever you're watching this. Welcome back to Bread. We're on day 26, Bible reading every day, adjust direction. We are going to begin with chapter 23 in Exodus, and we'll read through chapter 25. I'm just going to tell you very quickly that most of you already know that I do record this in advance because it was much my desire to go live as a Facebook every single day with this, but it didn't work out because we upload it also to the YouTube channel, which I do hope you are following, and it was not, there was difficulty uploading a Facebook Live to YouTube, so instead we record it. So you're seeing me wear my Brave shirt tonight. I went to the Brave conference at our church, Brave conference for women. Mark your calendars. You need to be there next year. I don't even remember the dates. Jeannie Mayo will be the speaker for next year, but I'm telling you what, it is so good. So good. It was even more than I could have imagined. So I would, excuse me, right now I'm just going to personally invite all the women to join me next year for the Brave Conference. And tonight there were 23 women that bravely stood up and raised their hands to accept the Lord as their Savior. There was a very brave testimony along with a very brave speaker that just spoke the word from Matthew. It was just so good, so good. So I'm really inspired, and it's kind of neat that I'm coming to you tonight to start reading from Exodus. Remember where the children of Israel have just come out of, have just left the lands, and they're still in the midst of traveling, but just coming out of slavery. And they're still having a hard time dealing with the miracles that are here. They're having a hard time dealing with that they don't have everything at their fingertips. They'd rather just live in this lap of slavery than a lap of freedom. And so God is teaching them things. We've just read about the 10 Commandments, and we're going to be reading about the festivals tonight and many other things. So in the midst of all of this, we see the way we can recognize our own attitude about things, how we can be that even we see a miracle that God has put right before us, and yet when something doesn't go our way, in our flesh, we want to have this little fit. And that's why it's very important that we do our best to live in the Spirit. And whenever you're reading your Bible every single day, that's going to help you. It's going to help you to become more authentic in your relationship with Jesus. It's going to help you to walk in a deeper relationship with Him. It's going to help you to have the eyes of Jesus, that your lens on other people is going to be the lens that Jesus has given you to see other people with. So anyway, I've gotten a little bit off on that, but I just felt encouraged just to kind of share a little bit of that with you as we get ready to start tonight. So let's begin. Exodus chapter 23, a call for justice. And remember, this is God still talking and laying down, telling Moses all of these things. You must not pass along false rumors. You must not cooperate with evil people by lying on the witness stand. You must not follow the crowd in doing wrong. When you are called to testify in a dispute, do not be swayed by the crowd to twist justice. And do not slant your testimony in favor of a person just because that person is poor. So many times we like to slant our testimony. We like to slant our view of things. We like to exaggerate, Yeah, I caught a fish this big. I mean, that's kind of the famous thing, but we like to slant the way that we want to say things. And we need to be careful with that, because if you're not giving the truth, and if you're slanting it and it's not the truth, they could be based on a truth, but it's still a lie whenever you add something to it that is not a part of it, or you indulge in your story. And right there it says, do not slant your testimony in favor of a person just because that person is poor. If you come upon your enemy's ox or donkey that is strayed away, take it back to its owner. If you see that the donkey of someone who hates you has collapsed under its load, do not walk by. Instead, stop and help. It's so easy to walk away and just ignore things because we don't have time. And I've got to get over here. And man, I just wanted to run to the store really quickly. I don't have time to stop and I'm not going to pick this thing up off the ground that somebody dropped. I have a habit that when I'm at the mall or something or anywhere and I see clothes that people just rummage through or whatever, I just see something that's falling on the floor, I pick it up and fold it, or I put it back on the hanger, and I always think to myself, well, we always know that God's watching us, but I always think that those security cameras are watching us, and maybe one day they're going to come down and they're going to say, you know what, we never have any shoppers that do this. Here's a gift certificate for $1,000. We're going to let you go have a shopping spree in the store. Yeah, I know that's a little far-fetched, but you know what? It feels good whenever you do something good. When you do something good for people, and God rewards that. Verse 6. In a lawsuit, you must not deny justice to the poor. Be sure never to charge anyone falsely with evil. Never sentence an innocent or blameless person to death, for I never declare a guilty person to be innocent. Listen to that again. I never declare a guilty person to be innocent. Take no bribes, for a bribe makes you ignore something that you clearly see. A bribe makes even a righteous person twist the truth. Okay. A bribe makes even a righteous person twist the truth. You must not oppress foreigners. You know what it's like to be a foreigner, for you yourselves were once foreigners in the land of Egypt. Plant and harvest your crops for 6 years, but let the land be renewed and lie uncultivated during the 7th year. Then let the poor among you harvest whatever it grows on its own. Leave the rest for wild animals to eat. The same applies to your vineyards and olive groves. You have 6 days each week for your ordinary work, but on the 7th day you must stop working. This gives your ox and your donkey a chance to rest. It also allows your slaves and the foreigners living among you to be refreshed. Pay close attention to all my instructions. You must not call on the name of any other gods. Do not even speak their names. Each year you must celebrate 3 festivals in my honor. First, celebrate the festival of unleavened bread. For 7 days, the bread you eat must be made without yeast, just as I commanded you. Celebrate this festival annually at the appointed time in early spring in the month of Abib. For that is the anniversary of your departure from Egypt. No one may appear before me without an offering. Second, celebrate the festival of harvest when you bring me the first crops of your harvest. Finally, celebrate the festival of the final harvest at the end of the harvest season when you have harvested all the crops from your fields. At these 3 times each year, every man in Israel must appear before the sovereign Lord, the Lord. You must not offer the blood of my sacrificial offerings together with any baked goods containing yeast, and do not leave the fat from the festival offerings until the next morning. As you harvest your crops, bring the very best of the first harvest to the house of the Lord your God. You must not cook a young goat in its mother's milk. See, I am sending an angel before you to protect you on your journey and lead you safely to the place I have prepared for you. Pay close attention to him and obey his instructions. I am sending you an angel ahead of you. Pay close attention and obey his instructions. Do not rebel against him, for he is my representative, and he will not forgive your rebellion. But if you are careful to obey him, following all my instructions, then I will be an enemy to your enemies, and I will oppose those who oppose you. For my angel will go before you and bring you into the land of the Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, Canaanites, Hivites, and Jebusites, so you may live there. And I will destroy them completely. You must not worship the gods of these nations or serve them in any way or imitate their evil practices. Instead, you must utterly destroy them and smash their sacred pillars. Now, that's not a suggestion, that's a command. You must serve only the Lord your God. If you do, I will bless you with food and water, and I will protect you from illness. There will be no miscarriages or infertility in your land, and I will give you long, full lives. I will send my terror ahead of you and create panic among all the people whose lands you invade. I will make all your enemies turn and run. I will send terror ahead of you to drive out the Hivites, Canaanites, and Hittites. But I will not drive them out in a single year, because the land would become desolate and the wild animals would multiply and threaten you. I will drive them out a little at a time until your population has increased enough to take possession of the land. And I will fix your boundaries from the Red Sea to the Mediterranean Sea and from the eastern wilderness to the Euphrates River. I will hand over to you the people now living in the land, and you will drive them out ahead of you. Make no treaties with them or their gods. They must not live in your land, or they will cause you to sin against me. If you serve their gods, you will be caught in the trap of idolatry. Chapter 24. Then the Lord instructed Moses, come up here to me and bring along Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, and 70 of Israel's elders. All of you must worship from a distance. Only Moses is allowed to come near the Lord. The others must not come near, and none of the other people are allowed to climb up the mountain with him. Then Moses went down to the people and repeated all the instructions and regulations the Lord had given him. All the people answered with one voice, "We will do everything the Lord has commanded." Then Moses carefully wrote down all the Lord's instructions. Early the next morning, Moses got up and built an altar at the foot of the mountain. He also set up 12 pillars, one for each of the 12 tribes of Israel. Then he sent some of the young Israelite men to present burnt offerings and to sacrifice bulls as peace offerings to the Lord. Moses drained half the blood from these animals into basins. The other half he splattered against the altar. Then he took the book of the covenant and read it aloud to the people. Again, they all responded, "We will do everything the Lord has commanded. We will obey." Pay attention to what they're saying, because as we well know, that doesn't happen. Then Moses took the blood from the basins and splattered it over the people, declaring, "Look, this blood confirms the covenant the Lord has made with you and given you these instructions." Then Moses, Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, and the 70 elders of Israel climbed up the mountain. There they saw the God of Israel. Under his feet there seemed to be a surface of brilliant blue lapis lazuli, as clear as the sky itself. And though these nobles of Israel gazed upon God, he did not destroy them. In fact, they ate a covenant meal, eating and drinking in his presence. Wow. Simply wow. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Come up to me on the mountain, stay there, and I will give you the tablets of stone on which I have inscribed the instructions and commands, so you can teach the people." So Moses and his assistant Joshua set out, and Moses climbed up the mountain of God. Moses told the elders, "Stay here and wait for us until we come back. Aaron and Hur are here with you. If anyone has a dispute while I am gone, consult with them." Then Moses climbed up the mountain, and the cloud covered it, and the glory of the Lord settled down on the mountain Sinai, and the cloud covered it for 6 days. And he's saying that on 6 days work and on the 7th day rest. On the 7th day, the Lord called to Moses from inside the cloud. To the Israelites at the foot of the mountain, the glory of the Lord appeared at the summit like a consuming fire. Then Moses disappeared into the cloud as he climbed higher up the mountain. He remained on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights.